But Ricky Smith from Teen Mom. Do I even have a picture of this man? Why do I not? Hang on. Let me go ahead and tee up a picture of him. Do you guys remember when he kidnapped Ashley? Ashley talked about it primarily in the last season of Teen Mom Next Chapter. She said that she had just gotten home from work and she found that her ex was already in the house, and he forced her to stay in the house. He wouldn't let her leave. He had put like a chair under the door so that she wouldn't be able to like open it or anything like that. It was very, very ugly, his behavior. And she had been going through the legal process. He was fighting against it, pleading not guilty and whatnot. And thankfully, it turns out that the courts are not buying his excuses and they have sentenced him to jail. I will say, though, despite the fact that it's great that he was convicted and sentenced, I don't think that 6 months is enough time for such an offense, right? Especially considering this is not his first time being violent against Ashley. So the fact that he's got a history of violence and now this time we're throwing in kidnapping, only 6 months, it seems a little light. And granted, he has spent a total of about 7 months so far already in jail awaiting trial. So I guess in total, it's going to be about a year and a month. But even that is not enough. I personally think that he should have gotten more, especially considering he crossed state lines. Correct me if I'm wrong, but was this man not on probation when he crossed state lines without alerting his probation officer to stalk his ex and barricade her inside of her own home? How do you only get a total of a year for something like that? I think that, men have it too easy when it comes to DV, because it seems like, similar to drunk driving and DUIs, right? They're not very heavily punished. And I find that to be absolutely shocking and disappointing, and yeah, sure, she can have a restraining order against him, but at the end of the day, a restraining order is just a piece of paper. And this man, who has shown himself as being capable, like crazy enough to go ahead and cross state lines to go after a victim, that's not enough time. It really, really isn't. And it looks like you guys feel the same way. Like, what is this, right? And I feel like 6 years at least would have been a lot more appropriate than this. What the heck? Anyway, shout out to Starcasm.net for this story, and the US Sun as well. So I'm going to take a look and share with you what it is that they had found via the court records. Okay, you guys. So again, Barr has already served about 7 months in jail for this. And according to the court filings, that he submitted a plea on February 28th to a misdemeanor charge of battery constituting DV from the incident on July 7th. In which he, quote, willfully and unlawfully used force or violence against Ashley as he, quote, barricaded doors and prevented her from leaving. And so this is a no contest plea that he attempted to enter. And it essentially means that he chose not to admit or dispute the criminal charges and does not admit any guilt, but accepts the court's punishment. And so the court ruled and decided that to 6 months in the Clark County Detention Center with 1 year of probation. Even the probation is a joke, right? But if he gets any more DV trouble again in the next 7 years, which, let's be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if he did, then stricter punishments would be put in place, right? So he will be getting harsher sentences. He would be getting fines up to $5,000 and a maximum of 6 years in jail, which I feel like, listen, if you already did this and they let you easy with 6 months and you and you already had a history prior to this and you go back to doing things like this, even 6 years at that point, I think they should have started with the 6 years. It's a nice part, right? And then you go up to 20, 30 years to really scare him and other people like him. But it feels like this is very, very lenient. And I feel bad for Ashley and any other person in this situation as a victim. And so Ashley was actually scheduled to make a victim impact statement on the day of his sentencing, but there's no word on whether or not she actually did go ahead and do that. So in addition to having to stay out of trouble on the DV front for the next 7 years, Barr also has to agree to substance abuse evaluations, parenting classes, and no contact with Ashley, especially no negative contact with Ashley. And so Yeah, honestly, I'm disappointed, but I'm not surprised because it always feels like these things are taken very lightly, especially people with like a long history of this sort of kind of dangerous behavior. So, we really, really, really do need reform on these sorts of sentencing. Kelly says that she thought Barr was facing 10 years. No, so he's only facing an additional 6 years if he violates his probation, or the 7 years that he is supposed to be clean of any sort of DV incidents for. And I worry the same thing, April. I wouldn't be surprised if that were the case, because I think that this is a man with nothing to lose at this point, right? I think that he is going to, when he comes out of jail and everything, especially because it's already been a year almost, he's going to notice that he doesn't really have that much of a relationship with his daughter anymore. This is not a man who's going to go on and have, in my opinion anyway, he doesn't look motivated to have any sort of a career. His mother is an enabler with the same kind of ratchet mindset. So I wouldn't be surprised if he continued to escalate his crimes, because it just feels like this is it for him. This is his lifestyle essentially, and it's very, very sad. Jaleesa says, I think 6 months is fine. Any longer, that man is going to come out even more hateful. Yeah, well, I don't know. I still feel like it's very, very light, because this is not a first offense for him. Just as it's crazy, he got nothing. So next time he will hurt her, right? And that's another thing. Like, is Ashley protected? Like, really, when all of this is said and done? Because again, he crossed state lines when he was not supposed to, without notifying his probation officer in the first place. To me, that is a very, very dangerous person who's risking it all just to go and kidnap his ex. Like, he's crazy, right? Crazy, right? And Al, I agree. What could have happened? What really, really could have happened? It could have been fatal for her. So I really do wish that the court took this more seriously. And at the very least, for the next 7 years, so almost a decade, he has to stay out of any kind of DV related trouble. And, given his history, that's not looking very likely, which means that more than likely he could potentially actually end up serving up to those 6 years, which, I think is what he deserved in the first place. Ashley says that she didn't realize he was here in Vegas. Hey, Bar, it's going to rain today. May you not get your hour outside today. Good morning, Stephanie. Good morning, Phyllis. Guys, welcome to the Morning Report. We go live every single weekday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk about the day's hottest stories. If you're enjoying this episode of the show, please don't hesitate to go ahead and give it a thumbs up so that YouTube knows that you enjoy my content and that you want to see more like it, okay? And thank you so much, Sue. That is so nice. And your doggy is just so damn cute. Every time I see doggies on here, I'm just like, oh, what type of dog is that? It's so cute. Sue, your dog is cute, just like Ashley's dog. So, so cute. Ronnie says that she's disappointed in our legal system when it comes to DV. So many women have been deleted recently by exes. It's sad. Yeah, I actually saw one on TikTok where this woman, she was stalked by this man because she's a content creator on social, and the guy had developed like an obsession with her, a fixation, and he was convinced that he was married to her. And so like she had her Ring camera. And so on the camera, like she would see like this guy was coming to her house like multiple times a day. And so she called the police and everything. They were even at her house. And all of this is on the Ring camera. What happens in the background? Her stalker is driving by again. And so she's like, there he is. And the cops are just standing there. She's like, there he is, go get him. They're just standing there. I was like, oh my God, how terrible is that? Theo says, on Campire's Discord server, I said that we would do anything to live in Shamia's huge house, even sleep in her elevator. It's amazing, isn't it, right? Like, she is living the damn life. She really, really is. And her husband seems to love and adore her as well, which, is a beautiful thing, especially when it comes to that lifestyle. Because a lot of times when men have you living that lifestyle, like off their dime or whatever, like they act like they're a god and they should be able to do whatever it is that they want, which is something you see with like athlete wags, where like they all know that their men cheat, blah, blah, blah. But this guy, like, no, he's a really, really good guy. And I love that for Shamia. And you know what? I will be tuning in to see what that's all about. And I'm so happy that you're looking forward to it, Joy. Can't wait to see you there on Monday. So don't forget, you guys, we'll be live Monday. I think it's at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Layla's YouTube channel.